Hey troops, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan and I'm a former commando from the United Kingdom, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a reaction video slash input to the special report on thin ice, rising tensions in the Arctic. It's all to do with the, well, the title says it all, the tensions rising in the Arctic, all down to one major thing, and it is Ukraine, it is Russia, that northern flank, especially for Great Britain and other countries in and around the area. Tensions are definitely rising, guys, and this special report is going to be quite good, and I've watched a few minutes of it, and I'm looking forward to getting into this one, breaking it down and throwing my opinion on it. But hopefully you can stay around for this one. It is going to be quite a long one, I think, so enjoy that. And yeah, any comments, drop them below, troops. But I'm not going to waste any more time on the introductions. Just like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we'll get into this one. Hopefully you enjoy it. Let's get into it.
Soldiers are on alert.
We are even more ready.
Arsenals are being upgraded.
We have to reinforce.
And bases expanding.
We have been very concerned about the risk for a massive attack.
The battle for sway at the top of the world is well underway. It's a battle involving the world's mightiest militaries and billions of dollars worth of resources. It will.
So this is the thing that always amazes me. It's always the resources. Once you get into the nitty-gritty of things and why they're actually happening, especially when there's military engagements in place, it's always down to resources and stuff. Now, we can say, you know what, why is it that way? It is that way for a reason. The world works off natural resources. It kind of goes round in a cycle like that. Without these resources and people controlling them, normally the superpowers of our world, things don't work as effectively. So we can say it's a bad thing all we want. We're all pretty much in the Western world a product of those resources actually being owned by our countries. Okay, we wouldn't have this lifestyle that we have without our countries being involved in these resources. So it's a bit of a catch-22, the whole situation.
Will impact global trade, the climate, and potentially the world order for the next century. The Arctic is the new frontier for great power competition.
It's a very important area in a geopolitical sense, definitely.
The war in Ukraine has further increased that importance and increased fears of a boil-over.
The situation could spiral out of control.
If they're saying it could spiral out of control, it means it is going to. Now, I can speak from what I know. When I was in the Royal Marines, we have a large interest in the northern flank. We're always in Norway doing Arctic and warfare training. In fact, we are the leaders of that type of training and expertise within the British military. That's not secret. That's common knowledge amongst the militaries. It's public knowledge amongst the militaries. We're always there training and honing our skills. Now, we're not doing it for the fun. All right, no one likes to be cold, wet and miserable in the Arctic Circle. So why are we there? It's to protect the northern flank from certain people, certain countries. The main one is the threat in Russia. Okay, that tension has just escalated the past 5 months or so with the war in Ukraine. So other countries are getting interested. Why? Because they can potentially cash in on the natural resources there.
In this Sky News special report, we hear from those readying for a possible Arctic war. We go on NATO's front line, monitoring for possible Russian threats.
My job is to make sure that we're safe.
We analyse the incredible riches and strategic advantages at stake.
And NATO has slept really over years, so they didn't realize what was going on.
And hear from the locals impacted, as well as the Russian official who issued this dire warning.
How confident are you that a conflict in the Arctic can be avoided?
No, we are not confident.
Again, so just to add a little bit on that lack of confidence. An extremely hostile place. I can't imagine any kind of warfare taking place in the Arctic Circle without severe suffering taking place. You need really, really, really specialized individuals there. I don't think people realize just how specialized you have to be to not only survive in the Arctic, but to thrive. And you need to thrive in this environment if you want to fight effectively and win battles. Now, what we've seen in Ukraine over the past few weeks and months is an array of skill sets in that battle space. Now, if you were slightly below average, you're going to die in the Arctic. And that's a fact, all right? Especially when bullets is flying, bombs is flying. There's two people, there's two sides aggressing each other into the arena, and it's just not going to be good at all. You know, for a start, 95% of the deaths are probably going to happen from, you know, the weather. Long drawn out wars in these kind of conditions, normally individuals succumb to the weather if they don't succumb to bullets. So, yeah. I don't want to see this happen. I don't want to see the Arctic tensions get any worse than they currently are. It's not good for anyone.
Strikingly vast and starkly distinct, the Arctic may seem like a different world. Defined by its frigid climate, with ice islands the size of nations. Its remote location and variety of locals, dangerous and endangered, make it fodder for nature films. The Arctic Circle spans 14.5 million square kilometres. That's larger than the continental United States.
Big ass amount of space there. And the one that needs to be controlled. We've heard about the natural resources there, but, you know, there'll probably be a lot more to it than that. Geographically, if you can store weaponry and munitions there, yeah, you're literally at the top of the world. So
it encompasses 8 nations: Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, and the US. All have increased their military presence here over recent years. United States has at least 5 military bases in Alaska and 1 in Greenland.
I didn't know that. I know the US train an awful lot in the region of Norway with the Royal Marines specifically for Arctic warfare. Didn't know they had as big a presence in the other countries though.
More than a dozen Air Force, Navy and Army bases span Russia's north. The Arctic region is crucial from a geostrategic sense, given the proximity to potential foes. For Russia, this area is fundamental for its defense and nuclear deterrent.
The Arctic is of utmost importance for the Russians. Their strategic capabilities are very much stored at the Kola Peninsula, especially for their second strike capabilities. And this makes the Arctic for them a really indispensable region.
Climate change is radically reshaping the region, and not just the environment. Melting ice sheets are opening up new shipping lanes. Russia is investing billions of rubles on a northern route and connected ports.
Right, so we're talking a lot about potential for trade, the opening up of trade. It's a big thing when you can control the seas, you can control the trade routes. We've seen that with, you know, the seas in and around Ukraine. That's been now dominated by Russia over certainly the past few months. It's worth an awful lot of money. It's worth billions in many cases, okay? So Russia's investing a lot because it can take a lot out of it. You know what surprises me? It doesn't surprise me, but I don't know a better word to describe it. It surprises me that wars can be fought, people could be killed, reasons can be given. But in truth, it all boils down to one thing, and that's money. It's always money. It's always about who controls the money in and out. And countries are prepared to go to war and kill each other over it as well. And we're seeing this all unravel. Ukraine is just... You know, there's a lot more going on over there than meets the eye, in my humble opinion anyway, and I think there's a lot to do with money. An awful lot to do with money, power, control, greed. Where there's money, there's greed.
It'll dramatically reduce travel time for intercontinental ships. China is cooperating in the Arctic infrastructure build. It declared itself a near-Arctic nation, revealed an Arctic strategy, and constructed 2 icebreaker ships. And the ice melt is also revealing billions of dollars worth of oil and gas.
Whoop-de-doo, who'd have thought, eh? The amount of blood that's been shed over oil and gas is absolutely outrageous. And to think that our oil and gas prices are going through the roof at this current time. People are dying and our oil prices and gas prices are going through the roof. You could not make this stuff up. I believe in 100 years' time, if we're not all cyborgs and all artificially programmed, to believe whatever the media wants to say, I generally think we'll look back at this time and go, wow, how come they didn't see it for what it is? How come we aren't answering and asking bigger questions than we already are? to me, this report is just quite obvious about it. It's actually not really blurring the words. It's telling you what it's all about. It's all about money. It's all about oil and gas. It's about billions of pounds worth of ship and trade routes and all of that good stuff. It's blatantly telling us.
The US Geological Survey estimates around 30% of the world's untapped gas and 13% of its oil, for so long out of reach, may soon be accessible.
Those percentages are scary. We're talking about companies who would literally go there for 1 or 2% of the world's gas, 1 or 2% of the world's oil. We're talking 30 odd percent here. That's an insane amount of money. No one blood will be shed over this, and it would continue to do so until someone has ownership over this. We've seen with China, they are developing the modern world, and they are quite literally all over the world developing. So I'm not surprised when they said China has a somewhat of a presence there. I'm not surprised at all.
That's prompted fears of a race for resources, and a senior Russian official told Sky News things could get ugly.
How confident are you that a conflict in the Arctic can be avoided?
No, we are not confident. And we are not adding a single, point to making the situation aggravate. We didn't do anything. Well, we still are ready to prevent militarization of Arctic.
A strategically significant and resource-laden region, remote yet interconnected, the Arctic is crucial for the major powers, and the conditions in the frigid north put it precariously close to a boil-over.
All right, so this is my question to you before we go any further with this. Is this a necessary evil? It's easy for us to say, let's put a stop to this. I wish it didn't happen. But what happens if your country, which you're residing in right now, doesn't have an influence there? Do we miss out? Is this a necessary evil? Are we prepared for people to die for these resources to be had? That's the big question that I think we need to ask. I think in a lot of the circumstances, we're quick to, come to conclusions, I myself included. But, we argue over X, Y, and Z, saying, I wish this didn't happen, I wish that didn't happen, but we take the privileges of the consequences of those things. We live in a free world. Iraq and Afghanistan, the war on terrorism and all of that good stuff, or bad stuff rather. We complained about it, but our freedoms were fought literally in those lands, and we have freedoms as a result of it. Same as World War I and II. We wish it never happened, but our freedoms were granted as a result of that. I would be speaking German now if we didn't intervene and we didn't have the support of our American brothers and sisters to fight in the war to help save us in those circumstances. So it's very easy to say, I wish this didn't happen, I wish that didn't happen, but the very freedoms in which we have normally exist because of the hardships fought in these areas. So is this a necessary evil?
This is where things may come to a head. Finnmark province in northern Norway on the Russian border. Norwegian troops here are readying for the worst. Sky News joined major live-fire military drills. 630 troops, 100 vehicles and an artillery battery rehearse rooting out invaders.
We see that we are able to synchronize both maneuver, fires and support.
Their mock enemy isn't named, though it's obviously directed towards its dangerously unpredictable neighbour. It is a striking show of force to make it clear Russia would face an incredible fight if it dared attempt to seize this strategically important region.
Yeah, and concur, they would face an incredible fight. On that map there, you've got England, you've got Norway, Finland, you've got Sweden. Those are just a few of the countries that they would be facing, especially with Finland and Sweden joining NATO. The timing is great, isn't it, when you think about it? Maybe they want to cash in on this whole land grab in the Arctic, so to speak. But yeah, I think that region there, Sweden, Norway, Finland, very, very strategically important. I am glad they're joining NATO for that reason. But a formidable fighting force indeed. We do a lot of bilateral cross-training with these guys, and we share all of our best interests and knowledge. So be rest assured, these military groups in these regions here are definitely among the best in the world. Well equipped, very knowledgeable, and you know, warriors to the end. History has proven that time and time again.
Roughly the size of Tasmania, bordering Russia and spanning the Barents Sea, Finnmark would be crucial for Russia to capture in any conflict.
I have to be honest, I have never ever heard of Finnmark. Never heard of Finnmark in my life.
Russia's Northern Fleet, with its nuclear-armed submarines, are based on the nearby Kola Peninsula. Strategists suggest Moscow can't protect them and its ability to respond in kind to a nuclear attack without taking Finnmark.
Russia need to protect the bases, what we call the bastion. So they have the bastion defense, and we think it may strengthen their bastion defense under certain circumstances to actually attack North Norway.
2 Russian brigades with 8,000 troops are also positioned just 20 kilometers from Finnmark. The Soviets threatened invasion in the Cold War, and Russia's recent record suggests an all-out attack can't be ruled out.
We have been very concerned about the risk for a massive attack from Russia. Not a potential for war between Norway and Russia spinning out of any kind of crisis in the bilateral relationship between the countries, but it's a part of a larger game. I mean, the deterrence game between, above all, the US, NATO and Russia.
Which is why Norway is bolstering its forces here. The Porsanger battalion didn't exist 4 years ago. By 2025, the northern base will be one of the biggest in the country.
In order to be able to defend Norway if it's necessary. And it's important because it's a political decision, and it's relied to the alliance, the NATO alliance, that we show that we will be able to strengthen the defense, and that we are able to defend ourselves.
But some doubt that. The former head of the military is among those who believe the Arctic region's terrain is too challenging. There are too many choke points, and the likely opponent too strong. He instead suggests Norwegian forces retreat behind a western mountain chain. But that's not official policy. Troops here are ready and willing to stand and fight.
And stand and fight they will. Again, the Royal Marines, the British military, work alongside Norwegians very, very closely. These guys are fantastic. They are fantastic, well equipped, well armed, well nurtured, all of that good stuff. It's safe to say that the Russians, you know, I do think they would, if they did ever invade in that region, it would have dire consequences for them. You know, just strategically, it would be really, really hard terrain, like he said, and it is an unforgiving terrain. There'll be a lot of deaths down to the weather, the environment that would play a major part in the war, just the location. The Norwegians are very, very well apt and trained in those regions to be able to cope with that. You know, the Royal Marines, like I say, and the Army, the British Army, spend a lot of time up there. Special Forces, I'm guessing, will do so as well. So a fight it would be, in a hard and long drawn out one of that. It's a fight that I don't think anyone wants, but I do think it favours Norway. I don't think it favours Russia as an invading force coming there. I think they would really struggle against a well dug in and determined opposition. But we're going to leave that video there, guys, because it's quite a long one. I think we're going to build it up into 2 parts or 3 parts maybe. But if you did like this, please smash the like button. Let me know in the comments if you've made it this far, because I like to gauge how many people are watching at this point. Normally there's quite a lot of people watching at this point. I just want to mention a few points of admin before I say goodbye. Members, thank you very much for supporting the channel with that little bit extra membership. You can now donate memberships. So if you want to donate a membership to other people, then you actually can do that now. It would be great to have a few more people supporting the channel. And if you've donated so far, or you have become a member so far, guys, I thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, especially during these hard times. Okay, money's tight for everyone, so I'm really thankful I'm really thankful. So thank you. And your viewership is the most important thing for me in the first place. The fact that you're here watching my content, watching me have a say on the world stage of news and politics and the war and other things orientated around the military. I'm really, really thankful for that. And I just wanted to let you know that, okay? But thanks for stopping by. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I'll definitely see you in the next one. Peace.